Hello everyone, welcome to my week 6 multimedia discussion for MPA 510 History and Theory. So the overview of this presentation and my subsequent paper is I chose the federal agency of the U.S. Customs and Enforcement, which is known as ICE. And we're going to talk about the proponents and opponents of expanding the scope of ICE and then the theories that go along with it. So during President Trump's recent campaign and then obvious election, he advocated for a really enforcement-based use of ICE, where the focus is on deportation, especially people with criminal history. So in 2017, Trump issued an executive order, No Sanctuary for Criminals Act. And it's interesting because in the Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, it clearly states that the United States must protect against the borders and protect each state from invasion. However, many opponents of illegal immigration argue that the onslaught of immigrants crossing our borders illegally would be considered an invasion. And then it becomes the federal government's duty to stop it. An interesting theory is, not only do we have the Constitution tying into the branch of the federal government and how they choose to run their federal organizations, but Max Weber would also argue that bureaucracy is dependent on like a rigid type of system where efficiency and effectiveness is of the utmost importance. It also lacks personalization. So those who are opposed to immigration would argue that illegal immigration is a drain of public resources, thus not efficient or effective. So on the other opposite side of the coin is those who oppose the expansion of ICE. So they don't just necessarily believe it's unethical, but they may in fact believe that it's unconstitutional. Another issue complicating like the ability to enforce it, a federally mandated order, are the issues of sanctuary cities. And if we break it down, it's really federalism expanded. The federal government is choosing to mandate laws and ordinances and regulations, specifically that, sanctuary cities should not be permitted. However, the states and local jurisdictions are like, no, we don't need to follow your rules. Based on the Constitution and the issue of federalism, we're different. And we don't have to adhere to everything that the federal government wants us to do. So it's interesting that we went from a dual federalism to a more marble cake federalism. And if we further explore this, Woodrow Wilson really explored the dichotomy of politics and administration. And it's really interesting in that ICE really garnishes a lot of their control dependent upon which political party is in office. So typically the Democrats are more liberal. They don't want ICE to be so enforcement-based. But then you have the Republicans who tend to be more conservative, and especially this president really wants an enforcement-based type of ICE organization. So Wilson's theory was forward-thinking in that public administrators really need to focus on duty rather than political views. So just another reason to, not broaden this scope of ICE is that their mission is ever-changing, and it's really determined by the political party and current president who occupy the White House. Here are my references, and thank you so much for taking time to listen to my discussion. I hope everyone has a blessed week. Take care.